So yeah, this is Market Peak. This is Matt and Seth, and that's P-E-E-K. Come back with our second episode. We're going to be jumping into cannabis stocks. They seem to be on the rise right now. We want to take a look at why. We're going to focus on one in particular that we're definitely excited about. And then we're also going to jump into the three charts. As usual, we're going to go ahead and start with what I got going on. I guess my little portfolio here, the one that I use for this show, is always going to be the little focus right off the bat. I'm up about $1,500 since the last one. The last one was about 22.3. As you can see, my holdings in space. And I am going to say real quickly that I'm moving away from Robinhood for obvious reasons. I'm going to be jumping to, or actually have made the move to jump to Fidelity. I don't know how the charts are going to work out. This beautiful layout is kind of nice. But that being said, everything's gone really, really well for Virgin Galactic. I got it at about, what's so funny?
No, it's. I like how you just jump right in.
Fuck it.
Especially with spice.
With spice.
Let the spice flow.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'll edit that out. Don't you worry. So actually, Matt, do you want to?
No, that's a movie reference. You never seen Dune?
No. I mean, what? When it came out 85 years ago?
You need to keep that in.
All right.
That one's a gem.
Okay. Fair enough. So,
thank you.
Well, I was going to say, why don't you introduce yourself, or not introduce yourself, why don't you say hello, but I guess that's one way to do it.
No introduction needed now. We're already talking about Dune.
For sure. We've
already broken down that wall.
So I got Virgin Galactic. I got it about $40, as you can see. So I guess it was right around there. And the thing is, realistically, the reason it's been doing so well recently is because they announced the test flight, the long-awaited one. The last one didn't go well, as I mentioned. And I believe it's for the 13th, so it's coming up. Could be great, could not be great. But as you can see, I've done pretty well with it. Since I got back in, I've made about $4,000 off of it. And that's in the last week. Not too bad. It definitely made up for some of the losses I had with my whole naked debacle, as I spoke about before. Watt actually did a little bit for me today. TRXC down a little bit. That's the medical device company I mentioned. I'm actually down overall $227 for that. Got in a little bit late this time around, but it's definitely a little bit room to move for sure. Sundial, we're actually going to be featuring that. As you can see, I bought 990 shares. Couldn't get that even 1,000. But I got it about $1.04. It's at 120 right now. And we'll talk about why it's moving up and stuff like that. AMC, actually, I'll be honest with you, I just sold it. I was like, it's up a little bit today. I'm going to cut my losses. I think I got it for like $12. It's a little bit of a loss there. I didn't buy it when it was way up. But still, that being said, cut my losses, and I'm going to be putting that into something else. I'm just waiting for the whole transfer from into TD, or not TD Ameritrade.
Don't worry.
Into Fidelity.
Don't worry, Seth. AMC will be up like 140%.
I'm sure it will. Yeah. I think it's kind of dead. There's not a lot going on, and if you go into Wall Street bets, they're just not excited about it. But there is a lot of excitement. A lot of people posting about Sundial. That's the one we're going to talk about a little bit later on. So, you ready to jump into your three charts?
Sure.
Three charts with Matt. All right. So, we're going to go right into the VIX, 22.9. I got the 1 month here. As you guys can see real quick, spiked up right around this time. This whole GME thing was starting to fall down. Coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. But Matt, you correctly predicted that we were going to be back in the 20s within a couple days, and sure enough, that's where we are.
I'm thinking we're going to fall a little more from here. I think, and this is again not financial advice.
Yes.
This is just my opinion.
We are not advisors at all.
My own research.
Just two cool dorks.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're gonna continue to. The VIX is going to back off more from here. And over the next, 2 or 3 weeks, my opinion, think you'll see, I don't know, it bottom out.
Where is bottom out for you? I remember when you were on, my other show, you had said if it hits like 14, get ready for it to just start charging up. Is that kind of, where your thought process is?
So 14 would be the upper line of support in that, 10, 11 to 14 band
Sure.
of support, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I don't, especially with the VIX behaving the way it does, strangely, to be honest. I don't just rely on, a single line of support. I like to, talk, uh, um, you know, like bands.
Sure.
So I think the VIX is going to sometime in the March area, sometime after this next options expiration, which is the hedging program, put call option buying kind of agreement in place, whereby a lot of hedge funds and institutional investors buy mostly downside protection, we'll say.
Sure.
When you have a lot of big money players buying downside protection, you also have, in my view, the risk of market manipulation.
Of course.
Right around, in particular, most infamously, options expiration, which is the third Friday of every month.
Yep.
And these guys can either sell their downside protection, right? In the case of options. So, or you can either sell or you can roll over, and there's puts, meaning you roll over, you scale back in.
Sure.
Right.
Double down,
you
sort of, kind of.
You buy them.
Sure.
Now, I wouldn't say double down, but maybe, who knows?
Okay.
Double down with the knowledge that they're going to manipulate the market lower during the next options expiration date,
Sure.
And just surprise everyone. I think, and that, in my opinion, is like a main driver of the market in general. Options expiration related, like market correction. But okay, so like the last thing I have to say about the VIX is that you should watch out if it does break below that 14 level. Watch out for like a big drop down to, the lower line of support of that support band.
Sure.
Like the 11 area. And in my opinion, if it gets down there, I think it maybe wouldn't set a new like 5-year low, but it's could go down to like 9, right?
Sure.
Been there before. 9 something, and surprise a lot of people. I would just start, if you're gonna play the VIX, go along the VIX over these next few weeks, betting on some volatility. I'll probably be scaling in my positions at like that 14, 15 price target.
Sure.
Yeah. And back at the truck if it hits like 9.
Yeah, for sure.
And the question is, do you short the IWM along with that, or do you short tech stocks? Which one is more overvalued?
I mean, everyone would always say it's going to be tech stocks. They're always considered overvalued.
But remember, during the COVID crash, IWM, small cap proxy, outperformed to the downside.
Did better,
relative to the other indices.
Because they wanted to put their money in someplace safe. They wanted a safe spot to put the money. Like, I can't risk this. Let me just put it in Apple, put it in Tesla even, clearly.
Exactly. It's that you can't lose no matter what trade.
Sure.
As I like to call it. Barring like a big, financial collapse.
Cool. Ready for silver?
Yep.
All right. So silver 26, 63, 62, 63. So it's moving all over the place. So I have the 1 year here so people can see. So dip down to 12 right around that time. And right now it's up to about 26.6 or something like that.
Yeah. So a lot of Wall Street Bets users, that now infamous online Reddit subreddit community.
Over 8 million now and counting.
Yeah, 8 million now and counting. That 8 million autists, quote unquote, now and counting. The ones who are accredited by leading, financial news outlets as being the ones who cause the GME short squeeze.
Yeah.
And that's big news.
Sure.
And they're now trying to band together and drive the price of silver higher.
It's
Obviously, there's
worked
a
a
big
little
difference
bit.
between. Yeah, yeah, it was up 11% at one point
You
through
can't
the
buy it,
day, and
like I've actually looked. So I was like, well, maybe, but most places are sold out. If you want to get the coins, but if you want to get like a, like a 10-ounce bar or
you can buy
100-ounce
the silver
bar,
eels. Yeah,
yeah, the coins
yeah,
you can get, but the bars are a little bit more of a challenge because the big players are like, let me just buy a 100-ounce bar for like, $3,500 or whatever.
exactly, exactly. But I mean, you can buy into an ETF if you
Sure,
want,
sure.
and there are some who warn against commodities ETFs because you kind of get overexposed to like the same, in this case, like ounce of silver. So, for instance, like you'll have like an ounce of silver being owned by like five or six, seven different people
Yeah.
or
No,
institutions,
yeah.
right? So it's just they're over levered
Sure. It's
assets.
easier to sell though. Like if you just decide to buy a bar of
It's
silver,
liquid.
it's not like you can't just go sell it somewhere, Like you
Yeah,
can
you
with,
can.
well, where would you go?
Most pawn shops,
Yeah,
like
okay, sure.
have you ever sold like like if you've ever like had any like collectible coins and anything like
Sure, sure,
that, you've
sure.
been to one of those places.
I'm sure a
Yeah,
pawn shop will give you a great deal.
yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, a lot of those places generally will give you
fair
market
market
correct
value.
pricing.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
yeah,
That's pretty awesome. Yeah,
at least in the case
so
of gold.
as I had mentioned to you before, Ramazan was on our show last week. Or actually this week, and he was telling me how up until the 20s, silver was like a 12 to 1 to gold. 12 silver will get you 1 gold of whatever amount.
Ratio, price ratio.
Yeah, and the ratio right now is like 74. Like you said, it's just so undervalued because of manipulation, and that's part of the reason why everyone's kind of banding together to make it so silver isn't so
Well,
secondary.
I also manipulation possibly, but also gold is just a more liquid,
Sure.
more highly purchasable
More
asset.
standardized.
Um, yeah, and like the ETFs are bigger. There's more trading volume there. It just, not more accessible, but definitely carries more brand
Sure.
recognition than silver.
Sure.
And I think that matters a lot, particularly for like millennial retail investors.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But of course, Bitcoin could be disrupting all of that right now.
Could be. I mean, Bitcoin hasn't sunk.
Disseminate the data and find out.
Everyone expected. I kind of expected to sink by now. It hasn't sunk, but yeah, silver's going up compared to gold. Silver's on the rise, and gold kind of falling back down a little bit. So, all right, ready to move into the last one?
Yeah, really quickly. Do you think silver goes higher from here?
I think it keeps going. Yeah, I mean, if you can't really get your hand on some of the bars, it's a little bit more of a challenge. They're still talking about it, even though if you go into like the daily discussion, like stop talking about silver, it's all bots and blah blah blah. Like, when there's 8 million people, you never get to read everything. But I do see that every once in a while. And I get it. Those are people that see GameStop plummeting, AMC plummeting, and what they want to do is keep people talking about silver, so you keep talking about GameStop. I get it. But there's a little bit of a push, and I really think it's going to go up. How long it can be sustained, who knows? But what's interesting about the silver is, it's one of those things you can buy and hold and like see and feel. And I think it's much more of an attractive purchase for that reason than, buying a stock.
Well, if you have a bar of silver, you bury it. I mean,
sure,
no one can touch that.
Yeah.
Versus if you have like a share.
Yeah, for sure.
Exposed to price fluctuations.
100%. 100%.
There's definitely.
All right, so TLT 149.68 right now. Do I have the year here? So yeah, this one has been way up, and then super big fluctuation around the COVID hit, sunk down way up, and now it's just kind of fallen a little bit. That's for sure, and a big drop about a month ago.
Yeah. So the 20-year Treasury bond ETF. Technically, to be fair, shares an inverse correlation, we'll say, to the S&P.
Sure.
Generally speaking. And to me, I kind of use it as like another volatility indicator. And, generally when treasuries, which are considered a safety trade, are rallying, the market is falling.
Yep.
And sometimes I like to check the TLT to see if there's any like prelude, any like price fluctuations that might mean something in relation to predicting the moves of the broader market the next day.
Sure.
And we're reaching kind of this critical level now because it's backed off a lot. It's corrected over the past several months since it's March 2020, or actually more like early February 2020, I believe, high.
Yep.
And if it keeps going down and we get a full retracement from those 2020 highs, I think there would be a huge opportunity for a bounce play, one. And two, I would think that the market at that point would be blasting its way through to all new time highs.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of is now anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
for sure.
But if it holds support, you're right. If we can get this, lower banded price compression to kind of like solidify and take hold over the next few months, and we can, really, really base out some support at some reasonable level, then I think, we could be looking over the next year, I'd say, for like a market correction.
Sure. I mean, it's coming. It always sooner or later, it's gonna happen. Yeah. That's for sure. So I just realized I'm missing a light here, but that's because I got my new computer in. Everything is freaking amazing, but little things like that you just forget about. That's okay. All right. Yeah. So what's that?
Those little things. Last thing I have to say about the TLT really quickly. Yep. If you trade options, implied volatility is extremely low.
Okay.
You're talking about on 3-month calls, maybe, like out the money calls, maybe like 15% IV.
Sure.
Which is a value trade, in my opinion.
No doubt. All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and finish off with Sundial. So this is the stock that I was talking about. This is one of the ones that's being spoken about in Wall Street Bets. And it's gained some momentum. And the reason why, part of it is Wall Street Bets, let's be honest with you. But part of it is also there's a lot going on with the cannabis stocks right now. Obviously, Democrats have taken over the Senate. Joe Biden was not a pro-cannabis guy. But I guess enough people have convinced him, have spoken about it, that he decided to go ahead and just, maybe change his mind. But they're open to the legislation. And in fact, Chuck Schumer, he was mentioning that, talking about the fact that they're going to try to get something on the table pretty quickly. And a lot of the stocks in the cannabis realm have done really, really well as an end result. As you can see, it's $1.21, really, really inexpensive. I got it at $1.04. And it was one of those ones that in the initial wave, it just went straight up. Also one of the ones that Robinhood stopped people from buying, and then it tanked. So I sold it for like a minuscule profit. It was up like 98%. And then it dropped, of course, because of that. I sold, but now I've gotten back in. I bought 1,000 shares, or like 990 shares, that is. And I expect it to do really, really well. And what's interesting is it's actually gotten into YOLO, which is the ticker for a cannabis ETF. And I went to TradingView, and there was a comment how somebody with the company had mentioned, or somebody had typed in YOLO. It's not a great stock ticker, because obviously it doesn't have anything to do with cannabis, but it is a term. You only live once. So personally, I think it's quite fitting. But they got put into that, and that announcement was in 2019. So they're in an ETF for cannabis as well. And this is actually directly from their website, Sundial. This is about Sundial Growers Inc. Sundial is a public company with common shares traded on NASDAQ under the symbol SNDL. Sundial is a licensed producer that crafts cannabis using state-of-the-art indoor facilities. Our craft at scale, modular growing approach, award-winning genetics, and experienced master growers set us apart. Our Canadian operations cultivate a small batch cannabis using an individualized room approach with 448 square feet of total space. 448,000 square feet of total space. Sundial's brand portfolio includes Top Leaf, Sundial Cannabis, Palmetto, and Grasslands. Our consumer packed goods experience enables us to not only grow quality cannabis, but also create exceptional consumer and customer experiences. So that's directly from their website. And the fact of the matter is, once again, stocks are going up across the board. But what's important about this one, first of all, as we can tell, it's really, really inexpensive. It's $1.21. As far as the cannabis stocks that are on anyone's radar, it's the cheapest. If you look at Tilray, it's in the low 20s. Canopy Growth is actually back up to 45. It had, plummeted quite a bit. So, and if you look at the YOLO, you can see I got the chart right here. I can go to the 1 year. Actually, I can go to 5 year. It's not that old. You can see start in May. It's been dipping. And then it finally plummeted around March along with everything else. And it's been going straight up ever since. What's interesting though, is Sundial has these facilities. You can see Olds, Alberta here. This is where they do all the growing. So by late 2020, the Olds facility is expected to produce approximately 60 million grams of cannabis annually. Obviously, we're already past that point. Rocky View, Alberta. This is where they test new strains. All the research and stuff goes on, which is cool. And then Merritt, British Columbia, and they actually got 20 acres of land, and they're going to turn that into another growing facility. And that's going to be the Merritt facility here. Construction began in 2019. So that one isn't quite finished yet. I try to get an update on what's going on with that one specifically. I wasn't able to find anything. So cannabis stocks. So these are the ones. This is actually from the street here. Aurora is up 4.69. Alfira is down, and they're actually going to be doing a merger with Tilray, which is interesting. Oh, wait, it's Aurora and Tilray, right? They're doing the merger. So anyway, so Tilray is actually up 0.44%, but it also, has been shorted quite a bit, but it had a nice little pop. Canopy, like I said, up 18.55. That's been doing really well. GW Pharma. What's that?
I'm a big fan of Cannabis Growth and particularly their partnership with Constellation.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. Constellation Brands, for those of you who don't know, that's alcohol,
in that industry.
Essentially. Yeah. So, and
Kim Crawford.
Yeah. In addition to, I wish I knew more of their portfolio. Corona. I used to know. Yeah, Corona. So cannabis infused beers and drinks.
Diageo's.
Diageo's, yeah, Guinness. So, and then you can see down here, Sundial up 25.35%. So, and what he says right here, and this gentleman is Danny Peterson. And once again, this is the street. I try to avoid covering stocks at their share price, but the Wall Street Bet subreddit turned the stock trading under $1 into a cannabis favorite on the Reddit trading army. So, and here we go. I got this actually. So this is Amit Chowdhury from Pulse 2. This is an online kind of business website, pulse2.com. They talk about, different, it's mainly stocks, but emerging stocks and stuff like that. But, and I just pulled stuff that was relevant to what I'm talking about recently. And this is kind of cool. Recently, Sundial said it's going to raise $74.5 million through the sale of shares in warrants, and the offering was going to close on February 4th, which is tomorrow, the next day, which led to the stock price fall on Tuesday, February 2nd. Sundial also wrapped up another 100 million share offering, and these offerings are going to increase Sundial's cash reserves to about 615 million. With these funds, Sundial will be looking into acquiring different targets. Sundial's current balance sheet and liquidity enable management to focus on delighting customers while providing significant optionality to participate in North American consolidation, said Sundial CEO Zachary George. We are grateful for continued investor support as we pursue attractive capital allocation opportunities with the emerging cannabis industry. So he gives that money for research, for acquiring other stuff, hopefully getting more market share.
Yeah.
And the reason the price dropped anytime you release shares, the price is going to drop. In fact, TRXC, Transentrex, which I still hold, that one announced that they were going to be offering their shares at $3, and they just closed that up maybe it was yesterday, the day before, but it was trading around like $3.30, something like that. But as soon as you announce you're going to be doing it for $3, share usually the stock usually drops to where that amount is, because if you're going to be offering shares at that price, now that's what the stock is worth. So it did go down, but as you can see, if I go back here to Sundial, it's at 121 right now. So it's already rebounded from that. So there are also rumors about Sundial announcing a new product soon, and the cannabis stocks have been rallying this week after 3 Democratic Senate leaders, led by Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, stated plans to make reform legislation a priority in Congress with the goal of ending federal prohibition. Senators Robin Wyden of Oregon, Cory Booker of New Jersey will be introducing legislation in the next few weeks. So if that goes through, all these stocks are going to explode. But if you have a stock that's $1.21, Wall Street Bets is behind it. They just raised, like over $150 million that they can use, to strengthen things up. I feel like it just has an opportunity to do really, really well. So that's
every time to scale in.
That's pretty much it. So that's pretty much all I got. Any last minute thoughts over there?
How are you feeling about the market next week?
I think the market's going to continue to go up. I think it's just, it's got to go down sooner or later, but I just can't think of anything that would make it want to drop. Like I said, like a COVID related thing or something like that, or, maybe a little war breaks out somewhere in the world or something like that. But China and America is going to be, restructuring deals soon, and things. In fact, Russia and the United States just re-upped on the nuclear treaty, so that's a positive thing as well.
We'll start.
Yeah, so things are just, the world's starting to heal again now that things are a little bit different in the White House, I feel. So, and there are people out there that are going to disagree, and I respect that 100%. So we respect that.
We shall see.
So I think GameStop is done. If it hits 200 again, I would be absolutely amazed. AMC possibly, but like I said, I'm in with Sundial. I'm in with Watt. I'm in with Transentrex. Tesla, I'll jump back in soon. Obviously, I'm in right now with Virgin Galactic. When that launch goes on, if it goes through and it works well, stock is going to be amazing. If it doesn't, it's going to dip back down again, and I'll be able to sell it for a profit. And that's exactly what happened in December. They announced it. It went up. The rockets didn't fire. I sold it. I didn't get full cut of it. I think I sold it for like 30% profit instead of like 40 or 50 or whatever. But wait for it to dip down, bought back in, and here we are. We shall see.
Righteous.
Any last minute thoughts?
As far as the next directional move of the market,
sure.
I think we're going higher. I think, like I said, if we peak out, possibly even get to the big around even 4,000 on the S&P.
Sure.
By the end of February, maybe like by the third week, February.
I mean, Dow Jones is, almost at 31,000. It's just, things are just, USA's stock is just so hot right now. It's just hard to believe it's going to keep going up, but it just keeps going up. That's for sure.
It's that disbelief.
Got ads popping up now. Good Lord.
Oh, that's a shame.
So new.
Fear is what drives the market. The more people who don't believe it, the more likely it is to happen.
Sure. No doubt about that.
Sometimes.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, I guess that's about it. So this is Seth. This is Matt. We are Market Peak, P-E-E-K. Send us your thoughts. You can, go ahead and put them in the video in the bottom. We'd really appreciate it. We got a couple comments. Subscribe if you like us. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Tell us what you agree, what you don't agree with. And that's pretty much it. We'll see you guys in a few days. Boom.